Hey guys, Sean from ProSkate here, bringing you episode 13 of our ProSkate Academy. Today we're going to be talking about figure blade alignment. What is figure blade alignment? How it will maximize your performance on the ice while minimizing fatigue and injury. So let's jump in.
So we have Tamara in today, and she's coming in with her new skates, complaining a bit of knee pain and having a hard time getting to her outside edges, especially on her right foot. So I'm going through what blade alignment is and explaining some of the things that we can do physically to the blade to help customize the blade alignment specifically for her biomechanics on the ice. So we're going to go through a couple of tests here to see where her body weight and biomechanics fall on top of her edge. What we're hoping to see is to be neutral right over top of the blade on the flat, but in Tamara's case here, she's definitely getting some intern or pronation, causing her weight to go to the inside edge. Then this causes her to compensate in her upper body, as you can see here, by tilting her shoulders and her hips in opposite directions to try to get her weight over her edge. So now that we see what's happening on the ice, we want to bring the skate back to the shop to see what we can do physically to help set the alignment for Tamara's specific biomechanics. So we've had a look at here and we're seeing what we see in the alignment from the factory, and there wasn't anything wrong with it, it just wasn't working for Tamara's biomechanics. So we're going to take the blade off here, we're going to get it reset and plane the sole, we're even going to put some plugs in the hole so we can get everything basically to neutral to allow us to then mount it specifically for Tamara's biomechanics. So you see here I'm putting some plugs into the holes. This will allow us to fill them in and we won't have anything to worry about when removing the blade. We're sanding off some of the shrapnel here from the plugs that we put in, and then we're also making sure that the blade sits flush on the sole so there's no torque on the blade and on the screws. So back to the bench here. Now we're going to assess the best possible position to put the blade in here for Tamara. So we're going to put some temporary screws in here in the slotted holes. These are specifically designed from the factory to allow some movement on the blade. Skates that come fully mounted are much more difficult to change, but they can be changed with a little bit more work. In her case, she had temporary mounted skates which were designed specifically to make corrections for the individual skater. So we've placed it on. We think it's going to work a little bit better for Tamara's biomechanics here, but of course we won't know for sure until we get it tested back on her feet and back on the board, and then we'll ultimately tested back on the ice. We also did not quite like the angle of the blade coming off specifically for Tamara's biomechanics, so we're going to put a little piece of squaring material in here, sometimes referred to as a shim, to see if we can get her blade falling directly over her weight directly over the blade a little bit better. So we're just going to score and take this off. That way we can have a nice clean cut and get it back on the board to test. We also want to make sure that we know exactly what sharpening Tamara has, so it's very consistent and we get the exact same setting every single time. For more on sharpening, check out our other ProSkate academies. So we're back on the board. Now you can see here, as Tamara does this test, her weight falls much more on top of the blade. Her weight's much more evenly distributed to the inside and outside edge, and there's zero correction in her hips and her shoulders. This is going to allow for much better performance, but also greatly reduce injury and fatigue.
All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to episode 13 of ProSkate Academy. Make sure to join us next week on Thursday, June 2nd for the season finale and episode 14. Please leave a like and a comment on this video, as well as subscribing to our YouTube and following us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We will see you next week.